Sitting like a lady.
Sitting like a lady.
Okay.
Me or you?
Hello.
Ah.
Daddy.
Yes.
Hello. Welcome to TableDropZone. My name is Loc.
And my name is Holger.
And today we will answer a question whether a terrain can react on the situation on the battlefield.
Exactly. We are calling it adaptable terrain. Just like laser on the moon. Whoever gets that reference, you have a good taste in films. So the idea is that we want to build terrain that's actually destructible. This house is actually destructible. So the idea came when we watched, we were invited in Cebu to the battletech group, and we watched the game, and they played with destructible terrain, but the terrain was not actually getting destroyed. So my mind was working on how can we do this, that it's repeatable, that it's not actually destroyed, in an easy way that everyone can follow who wants to do it.
So we will show you today how we build up the terrain and how to use it on the battlefield.
Exactly. Enjoy.
Enjoy. Let's start.
So let's have a quick look at how such a terrain could potentially be built. The first thing we need to do is understand the dimensions of what we are going to build. For this, we're going to take one of the beefier mechs we have and create an imaginary box around him, so that he has enough space in this hypothetical box to move around freely. Now that we understand how big the box has to be at a bare minimum for a mech to stand in, we can continue to build this box as a frame. For the whole inner structure we are going to use wood. I'm going to make sure that the wood is a little bit rough, because I will use super glue to glue it together, as it is much faster than wood glue. We cut a couple of pieces of wood to size. We need a couple of pieces for a frame for the top and the bottom, and then a couple of pieces for the side to give it the height. I am experimenting around a little bit on how we can best put the sides in, but in the end I only need 2 beams to give it a very sturdy structure. Sturdiness is important, beauty is less important, because this part of the model we will barely ever see. The next thing we need to do is take care of the sides. I'm using a thicker foam board with cardboard on either side. I am cutting the pieces a little bit bigger to the sides, but not to the top and the bottom. This is because you will attach something between the frame and the cardboard, and that means that all sides will become a little bit bigger. Now that I have some pieces, I will cut these up further to make it look like it's broken out. For this, I just randomly add some cuts that are not straight, and there's no real rhyme or reason behind how these would look. The only thing I take care of is that I have one major middle piece, I have 2 side pieces to the top that can also be removed, and the rest will be glued on, so it's not necessary to really take care of how that looks. Now I add thinner wood pieces to the backs of my sides, so that each part has a top and a bottom that is solidified using wood. The reason is that I will use super glue, and I want to make sure that the foam board stays as intact as possible. Also, I want a more sturdy surface for what I'm going to do here. Up next, we add the thinnest magnets we can find. These are 1mm magnets from Green Stuff World. I use super glue to attach them to the wood planks on the back of each of the side pieces. I have 2 for the top and the bottom of the middle pieces, and 1 for the corner pieces, because the corner pieces are going to be attached to each other and that also makes it 2 in the end. I make sure that the corner pieces are kind of aligned, not 100%, but else everything else will look a bit weird once I get it in place. And for attaching the side pieces to the inner structure, I basically just, feel for it and see what looks about right. There is no real measurement here as well. Once all sides are attached, you can kind of see how the whole thing comes together. Now, there's a couple of things we still need to do, which is a way to peel off the sides rather easily and a roof. So the next step we do is we fuse the sides together. For this we simply use hot glue, a lot of it, put it in between and then take wood pieces, luckily these ones fit quite well, and cut the top part from the bottom part, make sure it sort of fits, and then glue those pieces in between the cardboard so we have kind of a rounded edge in a way. Now we build a way to remove the sides more easily. For this we simply glue a bit of wood onto the back of the side, and then we add a little bit of another piece of wood that stands out on the top so that we can simply pull it down. Let's talk about the roof for a second. So there are essentially multiple ways how to do this. One way is to attach the roof as part of the piece that comes off, and the other one is to have the roof as a solid plate that can be taken off and put on at will. Both have their positives and negatives. If you attach the roof to each piece, that means that crumbling will look a lot more natural, and you can simply control the pull off of each of the piece through the roof itself. If you keep the roof as a solid piece, then you can always put a mech on top that is standing on top of the building, and you can also completely remove the top in order to work with the mech inside a lot more easily, and also in order to work with the sides a lot more easily. So, because it is also a bit of a time crunch for me, I decided to keep the roof intact and just work with that for now. So now it's time to take care of the roof. So I have this piece here that has been cut out a bit larger. I make sure that all sides look decent, and I'm going to lay it down, put the rest of the building on top of it to see where the handles for the sides would be, because here I need to create a couple of cutouts. So I measure this and cut it out. And then the roof has a very specific way of sitting on top of the building. So I have to fidget around a little bit with this, and then I will create a marking to make sure I will always be able to find it. Now I add a bit more strengthening here and there, but essentially that is it. I can now remove parts of my terrain as it gets more damaged, and once it's damaged enough, I can remove it fully. Now, to make this even a little bit more cool, I will add a base to it. I simply add some clay to the base to make it look like rubble, and I add a couple of pieces onto the clay so that it looks all kind of like a bit of a broken down piece of a house. Later on in the game, the building can be destroyed, and once it's destroyed, it will be removed and only the base is left as rubble terrain, so that it kind of hinders the movement of the mechs. I have to measure out a little bit that the building can stand well on this terrain, but this is rather easy, and since it's clay, it's easier to move. So with a few measures and a bit of shifting, there we go. Now I add some decorations to each side. There's also no real concept behind this. I want this to look like a bit of an industrial building with a big logo on the front. So I cut out some random pieces of cardboard and foam board and wood, and simply attach them to a certain pattern onto each of the sides. Now we paint it up. What we do is we create a very dark wash with a little bit of a blue tint to it, and just apply it everywhere. This needs to be a little bit rough. The idea is that it's a bit of a weathered building and has seen a bit of grime over the years. And yeah, then we add color to specific pieces that need to be looking a bit different. And then we just dry brush over it and it's done. As you can see in the final product, the pieces I added to the side really take the view away from the cracks that are of course present. Also, they help to keep the sides a little bit in place and a little bit in a certain position so that transport is a little bit more easy. But of course, if you want to have them removable, then you need to clear the space around them so that you can just pull them out to the front.
So, ta-da! It's the final terrain.
Careful, don't break it.
No, I will not for sure. So tell us whether you like this type of terrain in general and this terrain in specific.
Exactly. By the way, there is a bit of a method behind the wreckage you can cause. So a house like this would have 6 points of health, you could say, before it's destroyed. That means when the mech goes in, it's the first point of damage that is caused. So that's 1. And then whenever the house gets damaged, you can just simply remove a corner, which totals it to 5. And the 6th one is then the destruction of the whole building, leaving only the gravel. So with that, you have a visible health meter, so to speak, directly on your table. You don't need to keep track of every house, you just need to count the corners. Once all corners are gone, you remove the house. That's an easy way to not have to memorize stuff in addition. Yeah, so that's all from our side. Hope you enjoyed the video.
Please subscribe and comment and like our video.
Exactly. Let us know in the comments below if you have any ideas, if it sparked something on you, or if you have done something similar in the past.
Yeah.
And with that, yeah, we wish you a wonderful rest of the day. See you in the next video, and bye.
Bye.